Hey, y'all. In 2015, I moved to Grinnell, Iowa to attend Grinnell College, all the way from Jackson, Mississippi, the poorest district in my state's capital, to be exact. And today, I'd like to talk to you about a few things I learned at Grinnell. I learned what kale and arugula are. And yes, I love arugula, and no, kale is nothing like collard greens. I learned that you don't say you're from Chicago unless you're actually from Chicago. But I learned other things too, important things. I learned what capitalism and institutional racism are, and about how those concepts relate to each other, and how my own story sits nestled between the two. I learned what praxis is, and then I learned what good praxis is. I learned that the earth is dying. I learned that there's nothing fair about the concept fair, and that justice is hardly ever just. And all of these things completely redefine the way that I think, my entire belief system. Sorry, one moment. You see, where I'm from, we don't talk about these things. Where I'm from, we plan, we scheme, we hustle, we just try to survive. There is no time for the theoretical or the big picture. The right here and the right now, and the surviving of the right here and the right now is plenty enough. But I'm here, and my circumstances were changed when I was admitted to Grinnell. And I've come to realize that the same education which afforded me the opportunity to sit in a classroom and have a doctor tell me about inequality is unobtainable for nearly all of my community. To be an alum of such a prestigious institution is, quite frankly, unfathomable. But there's a key reason why I'm here, and that's because people at Grinnell cared. And I'm not just talking about people who were just doing their job. I'm talking about there were people who consciously overextended themselves on my behalf because they gave a damn. Because perhaps they too realized how precarious the existence of a student like me in a place like Grinnell is. Dr. Patrick Ingalls, my advisor, convinced me my first year that I belonged at Grinnell just as much as anybody else after failing several exams and filling out the paperwork to drop out. Dr. Keisho Scott, the professor who I did my first independent research project with, taught me that my desire for change can be my fuel for research. Tim, the facilities management guy from my dorm, my second year, first semester, who would knock on my door during my hardest time at Grinnell just to make sure I got to class. Without these people and the resources that support those people and the people that support those resources, my life would be very different. Don't get me wrong, I worked really, really hard to be here. But if all it took was hard work, my neighbors, my brothers, my sisters, they would have attended college too. Those of us in this room, we come from a variety of backgrounds, social classes, and circumstances, but know this to be true. For you to be sitting here as alumni of such a prestigious institution is an incredible privilege. I urge you to use this privilege, perhaps newfound, to advocate for the underdog, to help the helpless, to lift up those who come to you seeking opportunity after searching for so long and despite all the obstacles along the way. I ask you to reflect on what you learned at Grinnell too. I learned at Grinnell that when you want something to change, you vote, you protest, you write letters, you talk to your friends, you do whatever it is you can to put what you learned inside and outside the classroom at Grinnell into practice. This is good praxis. What I learned at Grinnell is exactly why, only last year, I started a PhD program at Northwestern studying inequality. What you learned at Grinnell might make all the difference. It did for me. Thank you.